What I'm saying is, a lot of people look at Topuria as just a knockout artist. A lot of the commentary surrounding the fight is people are sleeping on Topuria's grappling. People are forgetting about the wrestling. People are forgetting about the jiu-jitsu. Now, let's go to UFC.com. Look at these stats. They averaging about the same amount of takedowns per 15 minutes. Takedown accuracy is almost the same for 15 minutes. The takedown defense from Ilia is actually 100%, and he actually goes for more submissions. This is the area that most people think Bryce will dominate.
I say it's one statistic that I think you might have overlooked, because when I saw it, I immediately said I think Bryce is going to win this fight. He's efficient with his takedowns. It's not the fact that he's not Colby Covington, who's shooting for 20 and he might get 7 or 6. I'm looking at in the Essen fight, he was 4 for 4 for takedowns. Andre Philly, 7 for 13. Charles Rosa, he was 3 for 3. And what's scary about this is he got 1 takedown each round. So you got, all it takes for him is 1 takedown.
He only needs 1 takedown per round to basically secure a round. Bryce is actually playing a dangerous game by taking this fight to the ground because, according to Ilia's record, he's actually a little bit more dangerous there. In fact, hold on. He just started knocking people out when he got to the UFC. Who would have thought that? Okay, in the featherweight division, we have Bryce Thug Nasty Mitchell versus Ilia Topuria. And Bryce Mitchell is 15-1, standing 5'10", with a 70-inch reach. On the other side, we have Ilia Topuria, 12-0, standing 5'7", 69-inch reach. And right now, as it stands, Bryce Mitchell is the underdog at plus 115, and Topuria is minus 135, which I agree with that.
Funny thing is, the reason why he dropped down from lightweight because guys were bigger than him. And now the irony is he's fighting against a bigger featherweight, and it's almost like, well, dang, I could have stayed at lightweight if I was going to fight bigger, stronger wrestlers.
Who?
Ilia. Remember he was at lightweight?
He did that on short notice, right? That was one-time thing for short notice.
I didn't know.
The John Herbert fight was like a week on short notice, and he took it. That's why that was. But speaking of that fight, a lot of people are looking at that and saying that was the only time that we've ever kind of really seen him vulnerable. But considering the odds, man, because John Herbert is only really good at that one thing. Like that's his bread and butter. And you coming up in weight on short notice against somebody with that type of reach, and for him to still be able to put him out the way he did was very impressive.
And Jai's one of them guys, I wouldn't be surprised if he did that to Bryce Mitchell. That's just what he's capable of.
And then on the other side, we got Bryce Mitchell coming off a very dominant win over Edson Barboza. You know, he actually dropped Edson, but again, that's because the grappling, when Edson was trying to figure out, okay, is he going to grapple me? Is he going to strike with me? Then it opens up the striking. Because obviously the hands from Bryce Mitchell, they could use some work. But his striking ain't the worst thing in the world because he's not really a good striker.
You got to understand,
it's unpredictable.
Like Habib never had the best striking. Colby Covington never had the best striking. A lot of their striking is not really the best, but because they're grappling so good, they can get in dominant positions and win out rounds.
Currently, he is on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fight win streak. A win here, man, will be good for both of these guys because Bryce Mitchell, obviously, he's put the work in. And so now it's time for him to start looking at maybe getting into the top 5 here. And then you got Ilia, a person who has just been impressive since the first fight. And a lot of people are saying this dude is a future champion. I want to say it was last year when he was beefing with Paddy Pimblett. Remember? So I actually was kind of thinking, what if Paddy wins or what if he wins and then he go up to lightweight and fight Paddy? I think that'll be a good fight. I'm kind of...
They got weight classes for a reason, man.
Hey, well...
But I was going to say this. I know ain't no point in talking about this because Bryce beat Edson, but I went back and watched the fight, and Bryce looked like he was a little bit worried about the takedowns at first. Because, you know, Edson, he's known for having great, outstanding takedown defense. And Bryce looked like he was a little bit nervous at first until he dropped him. When he dropped him with the left hand, that's when he got more confident. And I was thinking, like, if he didn't drop them with the left hand, do you think he would have been scared to engage with the takedowns just off Edson's, like, reputation? Because he didn't seem 100% confident in the takedowns at first. When he hurt him with the left hand, that's when he became more confident It's almost like he told himself, I can take him down and I can beat him.
Hey, is John Herbert a southpaw? Am I tripping, or did that kick come from the left side? Because I was watching Bryce Mitchell's fights.
No, he knows his right hand. He knows.
But he dropped him with a left kick.
He probably switched stances a lot, but
Bryce Mitchell does have a few good strikes. Like, his whole striking game needs some work, but
kicks.
The left hand, it can be effective, and he does have a left high kick. Now, he's not a knockout artist with it by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm saying it's there. And when people having to worry about takedowns, it kind of opens up. Now, if he only had grappling, it would never work, because
I'm glad you said that. That's a good point, because Ilia, his takedown defense is, you can't guess 100%. That's where the fight gets real interesting, because I think Bryce got some of the best wrestling in the UFC. If I'm gonna just be honest, because he got multiple fights where he controlled his opponent for 10 minutes, 11 minutes, 12 minutes. You can argue he got some of the best wrestling in the UFC. One fighter, he got some of the best wrestling offense, and you got another fighter, he has great takedown defense. So the funny thing is, the grappling might cancel out, or we might see more of Bryce Mitchell striking.
But you know one thing,
see more of Bryce Mitchell striking.
You know, we've seen a preview to this fight already from Topuria. Look on his record, and who is almost like a lesser version of Bryce? Ryan Hall.
No, he's not, man. Ryan got the takedowns.
No, but I'm saying that grappling heavy, like, that's his bread and butter.
I think
but the reason why I'm saying it is because look at how well trained Ilia was for that fight. The grappling exchanges, when he went for the heel hooks, when
he was undefeated too, yeah.
And Ryan Hall was undefeated, and Ryan made everybody look bad up until that point. And Ilia made him look like nothing. Like, Ilia looked so prepared for that fight. It was nothing Ryan could have done. What I'm saying is, a lot of people look at Topuria as just a knockout artist. A lot of the commentary surrounding the fight is people are sleeping on Topuria's grappling. People are forgetting about the wrestling. People are forgetting about the jiu-jitsu. Now, let's go to UFC.com. Look at these stats. They averaging about the same amount of takedowns per 15 minutes. Takedown accuracy is almost the same for 15 minutes. The takedown defense from Ilia is actually 100%, and he actually goes for more submissions. This is the area that most people think Bryce will dominate, which obviously Bryce has shown that his grappling is some of the most effective we've ever seen. To say that the striking is, you know, it needs some help, but it ain't the worst thing in the world. It's good enough for his game. I told you this the other day. I have never seen somebody consistently win 30-26 rounds, 30-25, well, 30-26 fights, 30-25 off pure wrestling. He probably got the most.
30-24, god damn.
Exactly. When they call out those scorecards, you got to scratch your head like, my goodness, what in the world is going on? For us to think that Bryce has that big of an advantage on the ground in this particular fight, the statistics actually say something completely different. And then when you add in the hand,
I say it's one statistic that I think you might have overlooked, because when I saw it, I immediately said I think Bryce is going to win this fight. He's efficient with his takedowns. It's not the fact that he's not Colby Covington, who's shooting for 20 and he might get 7 or 6. I'm looking at, in the Essen fight, he was 4 for 4 for takedowns. Andre Philly, 7 for 13. Charles Rosa, he was 3 for 3. And what's scary about this is he got 1 takedown each round. So you got, all it takes for him is 1 takedown.
He only needs 1 takedown per round to basically secure a round. How often do we see that? Almost never.
And the funny thing is, unless you got striking like Israel, where you can just keep your opponent on the outside, you really don't have that much of a chance against him, man. I don't think Ilia's striking, I don't think it's good enough to kind of cancel that out. Doesn't make sense. And then on top of that, he's shorter. His reach is shorter, so he's going to have to get on the inside. That's takedowns. Ilia's going to be walking to takedowns.
I'm going to tell you one thing. Bryce is going to get dropped in this fight, though.
Yeah. Speaking of, I'm glad you said that, because one mistake Edson kept on making was the kicks. He kept on throwing leg kicks, man. He kept on getting taken down because of that.
That's where a lot of Bryce's takedowns come from.
And that's the thing is, Ilia, if he can just throw hands with him, you think he has a chance?
100%. And the Ryan Hall fight showed me that, because with Ryan, and I know that there's a difference, but I'm just saying, somebody whose bread and butter is grappling. Ryan don't have takedowns, obviously. He got jiu-jitsu, but no takedowns. But whenever they did have grappling exchanges, Ilia was so comfortable and his grappling was so good. I was like, man, even if Ryan was to get a takedown, he can't keep him down. He can't control him. He just gonna stand back up. But obviously Bryce is more efficient with it, because his is more wrestling plus jiu-jitsu plus ground and pound. So it's a little
Yeah.
bit more well-rounded grappling approach. But even with that being said, what's scary is Bryce only need one takedown per round, but a lot of times he's getting those takedowns off of kicks. Ilia throws kicks, but what Bryce has to be worried about is this one-punch knockout power, because this is not Edson Barboza. Edson been beat so many times, there's game plans on how to beat Edson. Everybody can't do it. I'm not saying that it's something that is going to be common depending on where your ranking is.
And not only that, but Edson been beat by a lot of wrestlers who've been putting hands on him because
who else dropped Edson?
Justin Gaethje. You remember Justin Gaethje dropped him with the right hand? So he's been beat before by wrestlers who's mixing up the striking. But what's scary is Ilia gonna be able to walk him down and throw body punches, right hands? Because the thing is, it's so scary because Bryce is one takedown away. But another thing is to counter that. What if Bryce gets stuffed a couple times, man? Because how many times have we seen him really just get stuffed bad?
Not often.
So what happens? Do you think he'll get discouraged, bro? Like the first time he get, because we didn't see Jack Shore. I'm not comparing Bryce to Jack Shore, but we seen Jack Shore undefeated wrestler. You start getting stuffed a couple times, you start getting discouraged, man. Because it's like now you fighting somebody who, because both these guys, well, technically Bryce not undefeated, but I guess you can say they kind of are. So these guys, they don't really lose that much. So you think Bryce going from being undefeated, dominating everybody with the wrestling, to getting stuff real bad, you think it might discourage him?
Let me give you something very interesting. I told you that the grappling stats actually is kind of 50-50. Kind of 50-50 here. As much as we want to say Bryce got the advantage on the ground, the statistics say that Ilia has the advantage. Bryce has strikes. I know this looks tricky, but these are ground strikes. On the feet, obviously Ilia has the advantage. On the ground, they're actually more even than what people want to admit. But here's something interesting. A majority of Ilia's wins come by submission. I'm telling you, people are saying to stop sleeping on his ground game.
But they really, I hate to say it don't really count, but we kind of count what's been done in the UFC, because a lot of these guys, they get all these submissions and then they get not one. We talk about all the time, the Nick Maximov,
Cal Dawkins.
Yeah, man.
Okay, but check this out though. He got one decision win in the UFC, and the other ones ended by knockout. He didn't get a chance to get a submission.
That's true.
Because he knocked him out.
That's true, man.
Bryce is actually playing a dangerous game by taking this fight to the ground, because according to Ilia's record, he's actually a little bit more dangerous there. In fact, hold on. He just started knocking people out when he got to the UFC. Who would have thought that? Man, I'm telling you, I've been looking at people's commentary on this fight, and I kept saying the same thing over and over again. Stop saying that Ilia, not you, but I'm saying people kept saying, stop saying that Ilia is just a knockout artist, because that's not true. I was watching the pros pick where all the UFC fighters give their prediction, and that particular video, people kept saying, go look at the grappling. Go look at the grappling of Ilia Topuria. And now I'm really taking a look at it. He just started knocking people out recently. Out of his 4 knockout wins, 3 of them have came in the last 2 years in the UFC. He only got 4 knockout wins.
You know what sucks about this? The matchups. This is why I think they need to change the rules to benefit the striker more. Because we know that, like, in certain engages, it benefits the wrestler more, because all they gotta do is get one takedown or hold their opponent against cage. But the thing is, I was gonna say is, it can be doing good, man, and to get taken down to get held against cage for, say, like the striking is a little bit, say it's leaning towards Ilia a little bit more, but say like Bryce get one takedown or he get one, say he control him against cage for 1 second.
Hold on to his back.
Yeah, that's enough for him to win a round. You know what I mean? So I think, because the thing is, all like Ilia has to be perfect for 5 minutes each round, and Bryce only got to be perfect for 5 seconds.
I think we discrediting Ilia's grappling here. I'm sorry. I think we discrediting it, man. If we really go...
Hey, another thing is, and the point of talking about this, let me say this. And the point of talking about this, bro, because he dominated Edson, but there was one moment when Edson got it was like 30 seconds left to go in the first round. And Edson popped back up, and he had Bryce going back against cage, and he didn't hurt him, but he threw some punches and hurt him, man. And then it was like, man, like, if Edson had a little bit better takedown defense.
I'm gonna tell you something here. Bryce, and I like Bryce. Obviously, I've been very you can't not be impressed with Bryce Mitchell. But he did lose on the Ultimate Fighter by a rear naked choke. A lot of people don't know that, because that was an exhibition fight, but he did lose by a rear naked choke.
What year was that?
2018.
I can't really hold it against him because even the Usman's been submitted early on in their career.
Yeah, but the Usman loss was way before that. But I'm saying Bryce still kind of has a young career, low key. But I'm saying,
I understand what you're saying. But even Colby got submitted. Colby got submitted. But you remember Warley submitted Colby.
Yeah.
But we can go with the list of a lot of guys. Anderson was submitted early on in his career.
But I'm saying we think that Bryce
is unbeatable.
But what I'm saying is Ilia's strongest part of his game is actually grappling.
What kind of submissions do he get?
Guillotines, rear naked chokes, triangle, straight arm bar. It looked like he can get people from off his back or
right,
from
the question is, I think we asked the wrong question. The real question is, if he do get taken down, can he even get back up? Because we talking about we talking about Ilia. We talking about
he barely averaging. They average almost the same amount of takedowns. I understand what you're
saying, but we talking about,
and he has 100% takedown defense.
None of these guys are like top 5, top 10. This guy Bryce might be in top 5 one day, man. Like this guy might be future champion. I hate to say this, man, but dude, a lot of these guys ain't trying to grapple. Man, I know this kind of far-fetched to say, bro, because they're not. He's fighting Ilia, so we need to focus on that, bro. But Calvin and boys can't beat Bryce Mitchell, man. Like,
it was especially not Calvin.
Yeah,
right now. But I'm saying this: Ilia he actually averages more submissions per fight, so he actually is more aggressive on the ground than Bryce. But he knocked people out in the process before he could even get submissions.
Yeah,
we cannot overlook that, man.
So who's your?
It's weird because I don't really want to pick against Bryce because every time I pick against him, he always grapple his way into a victory, which obviously is good. And like we mentioned, he only need one takedown per round to basically secure a round.
The thing that separates the two is Bryce, the way he did Edson, only a certain type of grappler can do that to him. Only the Habib. So I'm not comparing him to Habib. I actually probably can because
low-key.
Yeah, I actually can because if you look at, you got multiple fights where you control your opponent for more than 10, 11, 12 minutes. Bro, like you might be in that same category with these guys. But at the same time, can Bryce do that against somebody like Ilia, man, who has great takedown defense? And honestly, I'm gonna have to go with, like I said, Bryce, all he gotta do is be perfect for 5 seconds and get one takedown and win a round. And Ilia has to be perfect for 5 minutes.
I don't agree with that. I kind of see what you're saying. Against other people, that could be the game plan for Bryce. But Ilia is a different type of fighter with the knockout power. Not only the knockout, hold on, what you saying?
Yeah, and then nothing he do feint and stuff. He do like Ilia don't just walk forward, man. Like he's move his head, he's move his feet, man.
And then look at how he recovered against Ja Herbert. He was hurt. Bryce can't hurt him like that. So for him in the UFC, for that to be his first time in trouble like that on a week's notice, up a weight class against a longer, rangier fighter, to get caught and then to still come back, dominate him wrestling, then when they stood back up, Ilia was still basically waiting for the round to end because Ja was kind of getting him. Then to come out and just to flatline him like that, I'm sorry, but I think that even if Bryce gets the fight to the ground, I think Ilia stands back up, or I think it's more competitive on the ground than when people give it credit for. I'm going to lean towards Ilia because I cannot let the Ryan Hall fight go. Not because, obviously, Bryce's game is takedowns and then go do jiu-jitsu, ground and pound. Ryan Hall's game is fall for a heel hook and all this or whatever. But I'm saying the fact of the matter is they were on the ground several times in the Ryan Hall fight, regardless if I got there. And Ilia made it look like light work. Yeah, and that's 100% of Ryan Hall's game is right there on the ground, and he literally could not do anything to Ilia.
And also, with the exception of the Habibs and these guys and younger Usman, you got to have striking, man. I'm seeing a little bit improved striking from Bryce Mitchell, but when you fighting against somebody like Ilia, this might be a MMA fight where we're gonna see all different aspects of MMA. Because the grappling might cancel out. It might. I don't think so, to be honest. I think Bryce gonna dominate him on the ground. But hey, man, like 100% takedown defense, bro, it might cancel out. So we might have to see. We might see how good Bryce striking really is. I don't think it's good enough to go toe to toe with Ilia.
But the danger of people like Bryce is, from a scale of 1 to 10, his striking ain't so low that it's like a 0 or a 1. It's just like slightly below average or average. But what happens is when your grappling is so dangerous, it opens up your striking. We talk about this all the time. Ilia's grappling is low-key being overlooked here. So, like you said, Bryce Mitchell by
domination, 3 rounds. Where Ilia, he might not get beat bad. It just he might get put in certain positions to where he can't stand up. and it's not
That's
really
fair.
getting. Yeah, he's not really getting like out grappled, but just held down and just. Right. Then, honestly, it might be real close. It might be like nothing might happen, and then maybe like 2 minutes left to go, Bryce might do enough just to win the round. That one little takedown. So I
think Ilia is better on the ground, plus the knockout power combined. I think Ilia might be a future champion. I'm going with Ilia, so we'll see.
All right, man.